December in Ottawa means a lot of things. It means that the weather is starting to get a little colder. It means we are expecting snow any time now, but it also means that the emerging actors, directors, filmmakers of the Ottawa area are getting ready for the Digi60 Film Festival. I'm very excited to be joined today by Maissa Houri. Maissa, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad at all. So you are the director of equity initiatives for the film festival.
Yes.
My very first question is, what exactly is the director of equity initiatives and what do they do?
I'm pretty much responsible of working on workshops and panels geared towards underrepresented groups to get them the education, I guess you'd say, in filmmaking and what it entails, and kind of bring them up to being equal to the white counterparts who would, you know, I'm so sorry. Basically to bring them up to give them the opportunities their counterparts usually get instead
Okay.
of them. So
Okay.
that's what I mean.
Yeah, fair. Now, one of the things that I think that makes this film festival special is that it is just that. It is that there to help, help and develop talent. So, for example, a lot of times I think of film festivals and I think of TIFF, I think of Sundance,
Mhm.
and primarily people go to see films. There are, of course, industry aspects that work in the background,
Mhm.
but I'd be hard pressed to come up with another festival, especially a local one, that
Mhm.
works so hard at basically helping people develop their skills. So
Mhm.
before we even get into the film blocks, I was wondering if you could take us through just some of the different workshops that people can expect to experience at this year's Digi60 Film Festival.
Yeah, I'm super excited. We have so much going on this year. We have a virtual panel discussion with Jesse Griffiths, who's a Toronto casting director who has a mandate in terms of diversity casting and who wants to improve himself as well as improve, the world of casting and educate people on like the importance of the diversity in casting. So I'm super excited to have him and he's virtual, so super accessible. We have an intimacy coordinator coming. We have a panel discussion with the National Film Board. We have, and they're also doing one-on-ones. We have a impact producing panel. We have a pitch workshop, and the pitch workshop is super dear to my heart. So I'm excited to that's coming back this year with a panel of producers who are going to be giving tips and advice of people pitching their project. And we have a speed mentoring for underrepresented creatives, and we have 13 mentors local from Ottawa and Toronto coming to do that, which is super awesome. You have producers, you have filmmakers, writers. It's super exciting to bring all these people together and provide these kinds of workshops and panels. And when we have the business of acting with Ilona Smythe, who's our casting director here in Ottawa, who's going, and it's for, emerging or seasoned actors to really get behind understanding the business of acting.
Yeah. Now there's so many wonderful things that you went through there, and I kind of felt like we were on a speed session.
Yeah, I'm like,
I want to touch on a few of them. So first
okay.
of all, this is so important. You have an intimacy coordinator coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the very fact that that Digi60 is paying attention to something like this is important. Would you
Yeah.
mind just explaining what an intimacy coordinator does and what people can potentially expect in that workshop?
Yeah, I thought I really wanted to bring in an intimacy coordinator. I thought it was super, super important. And I worked with an intimacy coordinator, this one in particular this year, when I had to work on a small shoot in Montreal. And intimacy coordination has been around just very recent in the last few years. And as an actor myself and going into films where you're like, here you need to do a nude scene or even a kissing scene, and then they're like, directors like, do what makes you comfortable. Like, well, it's not comfortable. You're nude, or you have to do a topless, or kissing somebody you don't know, and you're in a room full of people. And so the intimacy coordinator is there um to in a sense help direct the scene, with the choreograph the scene with the actors, to ensure that they're comfortable, to ensure that there's consent, and to ensure that they understand their rights, also to make sure that they're safe.
Mm-hmm.
It and it's I've seen some controversy online about it from some big stars about how they felt that it ruins the moment, which I feel makes it more necessary to have these intimacy coordinators on set.
No, absolutely.
Because if
Absolutely.
he thinks that it's a free for all, I feel like that's, not, you're setting the wrong message. And I think it's very important, the intimacy coordinator. Like I was on a TV show in the summer in Montreal, and there was I had to ultrasound the main actor's chest because of like this breast cancer scare or something like that. And she said, I'm not gonna be on set, but this you could possibly see, something that, so I just want you to be ready for that. And this is how you should go about, ask her first, and make sure you're comfortable, make sure that the prop guys are not like showing you the example of how to use the wand, like things like that. And it's super important to have these conversations, and to have someone there to advocate for you if you're not comfortable. And not only in terms of the sexual content, in terms of film, I was recently talking to, I was on another focus group, and they were talking about the intimacy coordinator being there for things like interracial or racial slurs that had to be said, or anti-LGBTQ moments that had to be said in the series, and how it could be very uncomfortable for the actor having to say these things or receive these things, even though it's in an act, their lines, it's pretend. They can get really intense, and they can be very hurtful, even in saying them as an actor, because you don't believe in them. And so it's having the intimacy coordinator be there to help guide you through those feelings and making sure that you're okay coming out of that.
No, absolutely. It's very important. So I'm glad, I'm super thrilled to hear that Digi60 is paying attention to that.
Absolutely.
Another one of the workshops you touched on, and you said it yourself, near and dear to your heart, the opportunity of having a pitching workshop. Can you talk us through that one, please?
Yeah, so we get submissions from filmmakers who are looking to pitch a project. So you have to have something already kind of determined in terms of like an outline or a pitch deck. And then we have Terry Loretto this year, who is the script writing teacher from Algonquin, who takes about five of these filmmakers, and she spends a day with them going through their pitches, helps them with their log line, helps them with, how their pitch is going to go, what's the best way to pitch. The next day we have a live pitch in front of producers, and these filmmakers will pitch their project about 5 minutes each to these producers, and the producers will give them advice and tips on their actual pitch itself, on the project itself, and how to make it better, what they liked about it, and like what their thoughts are on it. And it really helps encourage filmmakers to move on to do like other live pitches, like in different festivals, and to try to sell their project.
Yeah. Now, listen, you're not going to bring it up, so I will. But several years ago, you were part of, before you were obviously part of the Digi60 board, you yourself entered into this, and
I did.
Right now you have a pitch that's with a major network right now, correct? So this is something that obviously can translate to
absolutely success. I pitched in 2019 with this workshop, and I got a producer on board who absolutely loved it. We chatted about it after Christmas. Pandemic hit, so it was a slow go in terms of working through it, but she really loved it. We worked together because I had pitched it as a web series, and she's like, no, this is a TV series. And it's funny because some of the producers were like, no, this is a movie, but she was like, no, this is a TV series. We're gonna make this. And then we got a letter of interest from a broadcaster, so it's really exciting that we are working on it right now to refine the pilot, the pitch. So we're really, really excited to be moving forward, and we're working with some really big names. So it's taken some time, but it's a dream come true to, that I didn't know it was going to go anywhere. I was just working on this pitch. I was like, and then a producer just jumped on board because she loved it.
Love that. That. Now, I'm a big fan of Canadian film, and it's very difficult to, I shouldn't say difficult, but it's very rare to see a Canadian film, and when the credits roll, you don't see something about the National Film Board. You guys actually have a workshop that has to do with working with the National Film Board. I think that's very exciting for any emerging filmmaker. Can you briefly talk about that workshop?
Well, I think it's so important. And I think this is where a lot of filmmakers they don't know like where our money comes from, and the National Film Board is there to help with that and explain how to get funding with them and how they work and all that. And I think, that's where a lot of emerging filmmakers lack the knowledge of how the Canadian system works in terms of getting grants and funding. And so it's so important. And I think we have so much talent here and no one knows what to do, like, and how to get the funding. And, so and they're doing one-on-ones as well. So it's so encouraging for our filmmakers to be able to be like, oh, this is how I get money. Let me start the process to get money to make my films. And, it's a long process, like to get grants, and learning how to write grants it's a whole talent in itself. But this is such a big first step, and being able to talk to the people who provide, is you don't get the opportunity to speak to these people. So this is such a great opportunity for our filmmakers so that they could grow their career.
Yeah, I think we've touched on just several of just a few of the workshops are going to be that are going to be presented. And I think to echo your sentiments, they all seem to provide a tremendous opportunity for anybody who's currently in filmmaking or looking at getting into filmmaking from whatever position, because this is something that's very, very rare. Now, of course, we have the films. Now, you yourself have been are an award-winning filmmaker from this festival. We have an opportunity of seeing some really great short films here at the festival. And when are people able to come and check out those films? What are the dates that they have?
So the films are December 16th and December 17th. Evening blocks. And we have the first block. So we have community shorts. So that's completely separate from the themed challenge of the festival, where we encourage local filmmakers to submit documentaries, like different kinds of films for this community block. So we start with that, and then we go into our first block of the challenge films after that on the Friday night, which is December 16th. And then we have 2 blocks the evening of the 17th. And then we end with the awards.
Amazing. And the great news is that the World Cup is not taking place in the evening, so people should be free to go. Now,
and it's so exciting. So because the theme is escape this year.
Oh, okay. I like that. Well, after the last couple of years, years, I think we're all looking for a little bit of an escape. So that's nice to see. I'm always extremely impressed with the level of filmmaking talent that I see in the capital region. And in no way is that supposed to be, oh, good for you, Ottawa. Like, I'm just blown away at so many things. And I've always said, from a short film perspective, it doesn't mean you shortcut it. You still have to pay attention to a script, to cinematography, to score, to everything. And just to see some of the exceptional filmmaking, I think we're again in for a really great treat when the film festival
and we launched October 1st, and we gave them 60 days to make their films. We did have 65 registrations, which is like the highest we've ever had for our festival. We only have about 35 films that were submitted, but I think it really encourages people to work at a deadline, because some people, and I'm one of those people where sometimes you procrastinate as a creative. You're like, oh, it's not good enough. I can't, and you procrastinate. But this gives them a challenge to, you got to work with this theme. You got to work within these minutes. You got to work within these days. And you have to have all this stuff done and submitted to the film festival, not just the film, but we have, some photos that you need to submit, other clips that you need to submit for our social media, things like that. And, but I think it encourages filmmakers to break out of their procrastination, to create something, collaborate with other filmmakers or creatives in Ottawa, maybe people they've never met before. So it's really, and we have so much talent here.
Absolutely. And one of the other things too, it's a comfortable environment. It's a comfortable, supportive environment. This is a great opportunity to come and try your work out, see what works, see what doesn't, get good constructive feedback, and again, get the skills that aren't always readily available to in the workshops and what have you, that aren't always readily available to take your career in filmmaking to the next level.
And we're trying to make this super accessible to everybody. So either to pay what you can for a lot of these workshops. The speed mentoring for underrepresented creatives is free. It's sponsored by One Department, which is a big production company here in Ottawa who does most of the Christmas movies here. They're sponsoring there. They're going to be mentoring. They were there at our media launch, and they were talking about how they want to talk to the community because they're always hiring. They want people to come, people to stay and not leave, go to Toronto or the bigger cities to work. We have work here and they want to keep them here. And so I think this is a good way to get some one-on-one time with these producers. And we're making it super accessible where there's, TIFF is, as is insanely expensive for industry folk to go to workshops and panels. I've paid $700 to go to these workshops and panels. And some panels that I really wanted to go to were very limited in space, and for us, I mean, there are limited spacing because of our venues are smaller, but we do make them as accessible as possible to encourage everybody to participate.
Love that. I love that. Well, listen, I'm super excited. We're going to drop the website in the article. Digi60.org, though, for anybody who can't wait, is where to go and check it out. The festival runs December 16th through the 18th. Again, very excited about it.
At the OAG.
Yes, at the OAG. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Keith.